Hello everyone and welcome to Chardonnay Day. Today in this version of our virtual tasting, I'm going to be tasting 3 different Chardonnays, which is kind of a cool way to taste wine because looking at 3 different Chardonnays from 3 different regions, in some cases of the world, is a cool way to look at the different flavors and aromas that you can see in each wine. We also have some different methods of making these wines. So as an overview of all the wines, we have this Amici Chardonnay from the Sonoma Coast 2016. So this is a California Chardonnay, and this was barrel aged in an oak barrel. And so that's going to, in particular, bring out some differences from the other wines. This wine is a Chablis from France, so that name denotes the region that the wine grapes came from. They are Chardonnay grapes, but the part that is emphasized on the label is not the varietal of Chardonnay, but the region it comes from, and that's much more common in France and Europe and the old world wines in general. And then this is another Chardonnay again, but from a different region. It's a white Burgundy, so from the Burgundy region, and specifically Maison Village. So another different region of wine, white wines, Chardonnays to be specific. So the region, the method of aging, both of these wines were aged in stainless steel barrels instead of oak barrels. Those are all going to lend different flavors to the wines, as I said. This next one is our Chablis. So again, these 2 wines are from France, where it is more common for the label to emphasize the region that the grapes were grown in rather than the variety of the grape and the wine, which is very different from what California does. California emphasizes, definitely if you buy a bottle, you know if it's going to be a Chardonnay or a Pinot Gris or Sauvignon Blanc for some of the white varieties, and you also definitely, I think it's very obvious the winery that produced it and made it, because that branding is usually featured heavily on the label as well. This particular Chablis though has some more interesting details about the location itself, which is kind of cool. So Domaine Chenevière which is where these grapes were grown, is located in La Chapelle, Vauclin, which is a hamlet located in the northern side of the Chablis appellation in Burgundy. It also says the farming is 100% Chardonnay vines grown on a plateau with Kimmeridgian limestone soils, which is cool. So Chardonnay especially, and all grapes tend to grow better, at least grapes that are grown for wine are usually grown in drier, less fertile soils, which forces the roots to work a little bit harder, and so they're not overproducing vines and leaves and grapes, and so the ones that they do produce are more concentrated and higher quality, if that makes sense. Chardonnay also is a relatively easy to grow grape, which is one reason it's so popular. I think pretty much everyone has heard of Chardonnay. Most people enjoy it. Some people are a little more strongly against it. I feel like you either love it or you hate it. Okay, let's see. So this one is a little bit of a paler straw color, I would say. Also clear though. If you do have a wine that's hazy or you see things floating in it, probably not great. Okay, so nice. Very nice on the nose. Maybe a little honey, pear, like a little sweeter fruits. Yes, okay. Maybe a little bit of mango. That's another thing that's really interesting about tasting the same varieties is you smell something and it's like, oh, it smells like a Chardonnay, but when you smell two Chardonnays right after each other, especially, that's easier to do than tasting it because it doesn't stay in your nose as much as it would on your tongue, but you can smell one, see how it smells, and then I'm gonna swirl and smell this one. And right away I can like sense some of the differences, which is really interesting. So you can see like the similarities, like, oh yeah, these both smell a little like have similar fruit notes, but then like for instance, this one is a little more buttery and yeasty almost, whereas this one a little more citrusy, fresher, like maybe a little bit of green apple. A youthful aroma, I would say, based on the fruity notes. Okay, let's taste it. Yeah, so I would also note that this wine is a little sweeter than the last one. And very interesting. Yeah, I would say like off dry rather than just dry. Again, similar medium acidity though, which is somewhat standard for wines. I think different varieties of wines have kind of standard notes that run throughout, but then they can obviously differ based on the regions they were grown in or the style of the winemaker. That can make a big difference, or the fermentation or aging method. So those are all things you can kind of pay attention to. Yeah, this one is also a little lemony. That green apple I'm getting on the palate as well as on the nose. But again, a little bit sweeter. And this one I think has the same level of alcohol as the last one at 12.5%. So alcohol on the body of the wine, or like how it feels in your mouth, can be related. And Chardonnay is sometimes said to feel round in the mouth. It has a medium to high or heavy body. Once again, I've poured rather generous portions for myself, and so you can see I'm not spitting it out. Sometimes when I taste on my own, which is something that I do now, especially since we're just staying inside, what else am I gonna do? Taste wine, I guess. I do spit it out so that I can not be influenced when I am trying to sense flavors and notes and differences between wines. I'm acting like I'm a big expert. I've done this a couple times so far, but you know, soon. Practice makes perfect. But yes, for now I am just drinking the wine, which is it's nice, you know, it's Saturday afternoon, evening. I'm not gonna go anywhere. I might get takeout later. So pretty good Saturday night, all things considered. So this wine and the last wine, I would note that they also both have a short finish. So after swallowing, kind of the taste doesn't remain for very long on your tongue. But I think this wine would go nicely with some seared scallops, maybe in a light buttery sauce. Again, relatively light wine, so you don't want to overpower the flavor of the wine with a really heavy sauce. So yeah, light butter sauce, maybe some lemon. Again, that would really complement the acidity of this wine, and even maybe serve it with some cauliflower that is lightly garlicky. I think that would be really nice. Yeah, I think wine and food pairings is maybe one of my favorite things. Okay, yeah, so that one, another nice Chardonnay. I today am cleansing my palate with pineapple, which I read is good for cleansing your palate. You wouldn't think so because pineapple has somewhat of a strong flavor, but we're trying it.